What's up, Leaf Station? Welcome back to another game preview. I'm Zack Phillips, and today we're going to be taking a look at game number 58 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season as they head out to Boston to take on the Bruins. Back to TD Garden for Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Some very different outcomes for them at the end of the Four Nations tournament last Thursday, as obviously only one of them got to say, yes, they could win the big one at TD Garden, but regardless, an opportunity to write some different history here in Maple Leafs uniforms against the Bruins here tonight, and we'll dig into our lines, we'll dig into what we think the game might look like, and on top of that, we'll give out our best bet. Presentation of Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today. Bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, all caps, NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So, as you guys know, the first thing that we do here on whether it is on the pregame show is digging into our lineups. Who's playing with who? What are the lines? What are we changing? Who's coming out? Who's staying in? So let's go over to Daily Faceoff first and foremost to take a look at that. And Daily Faceoff is where you should be getting your lineup information every single day. That's where I'm getting mine. So make sure to head on over there. And that's where we use it for the pregame show. And we will start here with the first line tonight. Matthew Knies, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner staying together as they should. You know what? I thought Austin Matthews looked pretty dangerous against the Chicago Blackhawks the other day. Took everyone a little bit to get into that game, and it was a little bit of a slower one in that first period. Pretty low event hockey all the way around. It was Chicago who kind of came out with the most chances. I thought Nylander and the third line were the best Leafs players in that game, but Austin Matthews wasn't far behind. He looked pretty dangerous himself, had a couple high danger opportunities, and those came thanks to some help from Mitch Marner and Matthew Knies as well. So those guys stick together, and no surprise really to anybody. Down to your second line there, a guy who keeps on rolling is Pontus Holmberg. 3 goals on the weekend for Pontus Holmberg, 2 against the Hurricanes, 1 against the Chicago Blackhawks, thanks to actually some really unselfish play from William Nylander there, helping Pontus get on the board. But that line will stick together, and I think they should. As I just alluded to, William Nylander, I thought was one of, if not the best Maple Leafs on the ice through 3 periods against the Chicago Blackhawks on Sunday. Pontus Holmberg is a guy that finally this season is starting to get rolling. Maybe all he needed was a little bit of a break, maybe crush some pints, maybe a couple shots, and all of a sudden he's back on the horse. You know, this is a guy that I was looking at coming into this season saying, I hope he takes some steps because he's kind of on the cheap. He can fit into your bottom 6. He had looked pretty good in some of the appearances we had seen him over the last couple of years. Maybe he's a guy who could take a step forward, and then it just kind of fell flat in its face this season. You know, there was points in time where Rosie was talking about, like, this guy's not going to be in your lineup, let alone in your top 6. There he is playing alongside John Tavares and William Nylander, and he's looked really good in the 2 games since coming back from the Four Nations face-off. Good for him for stepping up. Good for him for taking a hold of the opportunity. And, I mean, he should be in that second line just based on how he's playing. So, shout out to Pontus Holmberg. He stays there with JT and William Nylander. Down to your third line, who was the best line on the ice against the Blackhawks. Now, take it with a grain of salt. It was the Chicago Blackhawks, and yes, they are struggling, and yes, every team seems to be able to find a way to get things going against maybe the Blackhawks there, but that third line has been struggling no matter who the opponent has been. You're seeing, you know, it's one guy's going, usually it's Bobby McMahon, and then the others aren't, whether it's Domi or Holmberg or Robertson, who's been in the center and wing positions on that line. It's not been consistent. It's not been generating much offense. It's just not been the prettiest of a season for the third line outside of really Bobby McMahon, who even himself was scratched for game 1 of the season. Finally now, the third line, they looked pretty good against Carolina, just couldn't score. And then against Chicago the other night, best line as a whole on the ice for the Maple Leafs. They stick together here tonight. And again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They stay together, and we'll see. Can you continue to get some contributions from your depth? Can you continue to get some contributions from your bottom 6? McMahon, Domi, Robertson, we will find out here tonight. You go to Steven Lorentz, David Kampf, and Alex Steeves as your fourth line. Again, Steeves I thought looked pretty good. Kampf and Lorentz just continue to bring energy, win your minutes. That's fine with me. So those are your forward lines for tonight's game against the Boston Bruins. Tonight, maybe against the Bruins, and they may be a team that's selling. Another team that would be selling would be the Nashville Predators. And, I heard the boys on the morning show talking about it. Luke Schenn, they keep pumping up Luke Schenn. Can they see Luke Schenn when they get down to Nashville? Well, maybe he's a guy that you see in Nashville, but playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and maybe you can head down there yourself and see them in person as part of the Leafs Nation vacation from March 20th to March 23rd. We're packing our jerseys and heading to Nashville to watch Toronto take on Nashville in their own barn. Flight packages, non-flight packages, we've got it all. Make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca to head down there and hang out with the likes of Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, Carter Hutton. It's going to be an absolute blast of a weekend getting to see a Leafs game in person, live podcasts of the boys, maybe seeing Luke Schenn while you're down there, all of that and much more. March 20th to 23rd. It's a trip of a lifetime that you're not going to want to miss, so make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca. Those are your forward lines for tonight's game. Let's head on over to our defense and see what we've got of these guys and what we have for the power play. I looked at it the other day and I was talking about, okay, maybe we see here against Chicago that is a change where it's like Philippe Myers comes in for somebody and then maybe Connor Timmins comes out, just not because he played a bad game against Carolina, but like he got hit in the head and, maybe he got some stitches. Maybe they just say, Myers, you go. We don't want you sitting for like 14 plus days. Doesn't end up being the case. They run it right back at the same defenseman, and it feels like that's what they're going to do again here tonight. First pairing, Jake McCabe and Chris Tanev. What was probably the best defensive pairing in the league. Now all of a sudden, a scoring threat. Both of them get on the board against the Blackhawks the other night. McCabe and Tanev. Tanev's only second goal of the season there, but regardless, nice to see some contribution from your defenseman and depth scoring on top of that. Then you go over to the second pairing there, Morgan Rielly, OEL, sticking together. I'm just going to say it. There's a lot of positives to the Leafs right now, but the one thing you need a lot more from Morgan Rielly. You need Morgan Rielly making as much money as he does, being the figure that he is here in Toronto, to be stepping up and contributing more. You can get as much depth contribution and goals from Jake McCabe and Chris Tanev as you'd like. It's not going to come frequently. Morgan Rielly is a guy that should be producing at a much higher clip just on the regular. So Morgan Rielly, OEL is your second pairing, and then your third right now, Benoit Timmins. I personally don't have any issues with these guys or these deep pairings here tonight. I think that they were good together. I think that from top to bottom, you've got some versatility. You've got a pretty defensive group. You should be able to get some more offense from OEL and Morgan Rielly, but that's yet to be seen here as those two have been paired up. But regardless, those are your deep pairings for tonight. Your power plays, not anything changing here, but based on the fact that you've got some power play goals, or a goal, I guess, against Chicago the other day, maybe they just say, hey, keep it together. I actually don't think that they've looked as bad, just they're not being able to score. And then you kind of take a look at what you've got from your second unit. They were the ones that looked the most dangerous. They played simple hockey. You get pucks on net. You get things in hard and direct, and you play some straight line hockey, and all of a sudden puck's in the back of the net, and that's what you saw out of the second unit. So there you go. Those are your power play units for tonight. The 5 forward unit for the first, that's Matthew Nyes, John Tavares, William Nylander, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner. And then your second unit would be Bobby McMahon, Max Domi, Nick Robertson, and OEL. Okay. Now is the time of the show where we dig in to our best bet. Obviously, here we know Anthony Stolarz is going to go. We saw the rotation, him on Saturday, Carolina, Joseph Woll on Sunday, back to Stolarz here. So we don't have to worry too much about that. What we do have to worry about is winning bets, because we have now lost 3 in a row. We are still up on the season, 6.25 units. That's a profit of $625. But we've now lost Max Domi anytime goal against Vancouver, Max Domi anytime goal against Carolina, and Matthew Nyes over 2.5 shots on goal against Chicago. None of those come through for us, but I'm looking to change the tides here tonight, and we will do so over at Bet365. Proud partner Leafs Nation pregame and Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION. All caps, NATION, when you sign up today. Make sure to head on over there. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We're going to head on over to Bet365 for tonight's best bet here, obviously, as we always do, and as you guys should be doing every single time. But this one, we're going to take a little bit of an interesting approach to, because, shots on goal props have been very interesting for me this season. They've been up and down. Some of them have just been absolutely massive whiffs. Some of them have been home runs. But I kind of started to look through and see who's the guys that I've been hitting on and who are the guys that I've been missing. Well, guys that we've missed on have been Nyes and bottom six players, and expecting those guys to step up. Guys that I've hit on have been the likes of John Tavares and William Nylander. So when something is working, why not try it again? Why not go back to it? We go over to our Bet365 page here, go to the player prop section. We're going to go down to shots on goal, and we're going to take a look, not at the over under there, which you can see, but we're going to go to just the regular shots on goal. Go to the milestones. William Nylander, 4+. Over 3.5 shots on goal for William Nylander. We're going to take him at plus 185. It's the best price in the market that you're going to find no matter what sportsbook you're at, so you should be at Bet365 if you want this best bet. But Nylander's a guy who steps up in big games, in games like this against the Bruins, Panthers, Lightning. It's Nylander that I look to, and he's the guy driving offense. He's the guy making things happen. He's the guy who's creating opportunities, creating chances for the Leafs constantly. If anybody on his line falls asleep, Nylander's the guy to pick it up. If the power play goes missing for a period, maybe it's time that Nylander steps in across the blue line and lets a shot fly, or creates a fast break, or gets going in transition. It's always him. And on top of that, he's getting a lot of breakaway opportunities, odd man opportunities. And you know what happens when he gets those? He's not giving up the puck. He's the guy who's shooting it. So with a shooter like that being priced like this, plus 185 for Nylander, 4+ shots on goal, that is tonight's best bet. I think Nylander pushes here. I think he leads the charge. I think he gets things going. And I feel like Nylander is the guy we're going to look back on this game and be like, wow, look at Willie and look at what he did. So Nylander plus 185 to record over 3.5 shots on goal is tonight's best bet. $50, a half unit on this, profits you $92.50. Those are your best bets for tonight. Thank you so much to everyone who watched the pregame show. If you did enjoy it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications. Leaf Station 401 right here on YouTube. We will be back for another Leaf Station After Dark following the game here tonight. Smash the like button. I will be joined, I believe, got a quadruple check, but I've triple checked, and the last time I looked, by none other than Jay Rosehill. Rosie has had a pretty hot streak coming on the After Dark show. Rosie comes on, Leafs play well, and Leafs win. Let's see if that can continue here tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Drop your predictions down below. Look forward to reading all those. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing you right back here tonight. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.